Do this in an avoidant. Will apologize for hurting you? It actually works. Most avoidants don't apologize in the way you expect. You won't hear grand gestures. You won't get a flood of texts, a tearful confession, or a speech about how deeply they regret what they've done. Instead, you get silence, disconnection, or worse, confusing behavior that makes you question if they even feel guilty at all. But here's what most people miss. Avoidants do feel guilt. They just don't process it the same way. If you understand how to shift the emotional dynamic, you can trigger a genuine apology, not a forced one, but a felt one. And it starts with what you do, not what you demand. Let's begin with a hard truth. Avoidants don't respond well to emotional pressure. When you try to force them to acknowledge your pain, they shut down. Not because your pain isn't valid, but because intense emotional confrontation activates their deepest fear. I'm not enough. Avoidants are wired to run from shame. So when you come at them with accusations, even if justified, their first instinct is to self-protect, not self-reflect. But what if I told you the key to getting an avoidant to apologize is not demanding the apology at all? Here's the secret. You stop chasing closure. You stop trying to fix the rupture between you. You stop explaining how much they hurt you, and instead you make a powerful emotional pivot. One that says, I can hold my own pain without needing you to fix it. Why does this work? Because the moment you stop trying to repair the emotional connection, the avoidant feels the space they created. That emptiness starts to echo. And in that silence, they finally feel the consequence of what they've done. The biggest shift you can make is from pursuit to presence. You no longer chase the apology. You simply exist in truth. You show up grounded, clear, calm, and you let your energy say what your words don't have to. You don't need to lash out. You don't need to beg. You let your boundary be the loudest voice in the room. Something like, I care about what we had, but I won't keep emotionally bleeding just to prove I was hurt. That's power. That's emotional adulthood. And that's the one thing an avoidant can't ignore. You see, when you pull away in peace, not in punishment, it disorients them. Avoidants are used to being chased, blamed, or frozen out. But when you detach with dignity, it's not silence for revenge, it's silence for healing. And ironically, that's when their mind starts to spiral. Wait, did I mess this up? Did I lose someone safe? Was I the one who created this distance? That questioning opens the door to introspection, and eventually, to remorse. Now here's where it gets even more psychological. Avoidants don't like to admit they hurt someone because it makes them feel defective. They fear they'll be engulfed by shame. But if you stay regulated, if you don't explode or collapse, they see something new. You're not here to shame them. You're just not tolerating being hurt anymore. That's a mirror they can actually look into. And often that's what starts the thaw. They may come forward awkwardly, gently, indirectly, but they'll say something that shows they know they hurt you. And when that happens, it's not just an apology, it's a breakthrough. Don't underestimate the impact of stillness. When you stop arguing, stop pleading, stop over-explaining, your energy shifts from, please understand me, to I understand myself. That's magnetic. Avoidants are often drawn to self-contained people because it makes them feel safer. When you hold yourself with clarity, it tells them, I'm not going to collapse into you, and I'm not going to chase you, but I will walk away if I have to. That energy often triggers the very self-reflection they've been avoiding. And let's talk about what their apology might look like, because it won't always be verbal. Sometimes it comes in the form of effort. They'll show up unexpectedly, fix something broken, ask how you've been, send a thoughtful message. These small acts are their way of saying, I see what I did. I want to make it right. It's not theatrical, but it's real. They're trying in their way to re-enter your emotional world. And when you recognize that, you can receive the apology, even if it's not packaged in the way you dreamed of. Now, this doesn't mean you have to accept breadcrumbs or tolerate delay, but it means you start listening for intention, not just language. If they say, I know I wasn't there for you the way I should have been, that's their version of, I'm sorry. If they say, I've been thinking about what happened, that's their way of opening the door. What matters is not the perfection of the apology, but the humility in it. That's what you want to respond to. Not the script, but the sincerity. There's also a trap here, the temptation to test them, to withdraw in order to get a reaction. But that's not healing, it's performance. You don't want to manipulate an avoidant into an apology. You want to create the emotional safety where they can arrive at one authentically. So you must act from truth, not strategy. That means setting boundaries because they matter to you, not because you hope it'll make them say sorry. Your power is in your integrity. Let's be clear. This won't work if the avoidant is abusive, narcissistic, or deeply avoidant with no self-awareness. Some people never apologize, not because they can't, but because they refuse to grow. This approach is not about tolerating harm. It's about shifting the emotional climate so that healthy guilt has space to emerge. If they truly care, and if there's even a spark of emotional maturity, they will feel it. They will recognize the loss. And that recognition is the root of remorse. In relationships, we often think apologies come from confrontation. But with avoidance, confrontation often makes them more defensive. They retreat, they deny, they minimize. But when you remove the emotional demand and replace it with calm accountability, something powerful happens. You're no longer trying to pull an apology out of them. You're simply holding up a mirror and saying, "This is who I am. This is how I love. And this is what I won't tolerate anymore." The real magic? When they do come forward, when the avoidant who once ghosted, deflected, or blamed suddenly says, "I'm sorry I hurt you," it feels sincere because they had to fight their own internal resistance to say it. They had to confront the very shame they've been running from. That apology carries weight, not because you forced it, but because you stopped trying to fix them and started honoring you. So do this. Step back. Step into your power. Stop arguing for your pain. Stop convincing someone to care. Let your boundary speak. Let your silence be sacred, not spiteful. And let them meet you from a place of choice, not pressure. Because when an avoidant chooses to apologize, they're not just saying sorry. They're saying, "I see you, I value you, and I want to do better." You don't need to punish to be heard. You don't need to scream to be seen. Sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all, paired with unwavering self-respect. That's when the shift happens. That's when the avoidant can finally face the impact of their actions without shutting down. And that's when healing begins, not just for them, but for you too. If this spoke to something deep inside you, remember your power isn't in forcing anyone to apologize. It's in how you choose to rise, respond, and protect your peace. Don't chase clarity from chaos. Become the clarity. And the right people, even the avoidant ones, will feel it. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Your healing starts with you.